America is in the middle of a workplace revolution, from working remotely to shorter work weeks to labor shortages. In just 3 years, how we work and live has radically changed. In his newest book, Culture Shock, Dr. Jim Harter shares what Gallup's extensive research has revealed about the evolving needs of employees and how managers have to adapt to succeed. And Doctor, I'm telling you, we are seeing this big change going on here. So let's talk about the book and why you decided to write it.
Hi, Brad. Great to be with you today. Yeah, we've all experienced these shifts that have happened over the last 3 years. We think about work and life differently than we did before. Managing is more difficult than ever. It's also more important than ever to get right. And so we really want to help people get managing right, because it's going to be a key conduit to fixing some of the issues that we're seeing right now.
Yeah.
Leaders are concerned about customer retention, so we want to bring all our research to bear here and help leaders navigate the future of work. We think it can be the best ever if we get it right.
Yeah. I mean, we are seeing the workplace change as we notice the younger people are looking for, of course, different things that managers need to look at different ways of managing. So let's talk about some of the issues that managers are facing in this time.
Yeah, the big one that, and I mentioned it a little bit ago, that is most important to managers because it's important to leaders, and that's customer retention. But the way we've seen this kind of evolve over time kind of leads us into what some of the reasons why customer retention is vulnerable right now. About 90% of remote working people want either fully remote or hybrid work going forward. The reasons they give us for that are they want to avoid the commute, it's better for their well-being, and it's better for their family. Those are all legitimate reasons, but there's a problem also. The problem is that employees have become more distant from their employer, particularly young employees have become more distant psychologically from their employer. It's almost like a gig worker type of a mentality. And that's not good, because that means they're more likely to go other places. They're less likely to pay attention to customers' needs. And they're more likely to say, I don't really feel responsible for the quality of service customers receive. That's a problem, and we got to get that fixed.
Yeah, so let's talk about how we fix that problem, because I just said it about, some management and some companies have that traditional way of working that has been great in the past, but we went through this pandemic. We went through, as you said, the younger people making changes. So how do we adapt? How do we make this all work together?
We've really got to shorten the distance. So I mentioned that younger people in particular, but all workers are feeling a little bit more distant from their employer than they did in the past. We've got to shorten that distance when people are hybrid, even if they're fully on site. There's still issues that need to be solved for. To shorten the distance, we found that building a strengths-based culture can do that. And what that means is that we teach managers how to get to know each person as an individual, their innate tendencies, their strengths, so they can direct those strengths at goals, priorities, at having meaningful conversations on a regular basis, help them see what their purpose is and how it's connected to the organization's overall purpose, and give them recognition when they do great things for customers, and build a culture of high accountability. Young people have wanted these things since before the pandemic. It's just been magnified now, and the importance has never been greater. Managers, Brad, are in the best position to know each person's situation because they're dealing with the people they manage directly. They've got a chance to get to know that work-life combination, how it works best for each person, and to know each person's strengths.
Yeah. Doctor, can you say that, a lot of new workers kind of want to have that praise, as you mentioned about, stars and stuff like that, more than they want pay. Is that something that we're seeing also too in the market?
They definitely want to be rewarded both ways, actually, but they definitely want the praise part. And it's kind of interesting because only about 10% of people are even asked how they like to be recognized. So it's low-hanging fruit. But to praise someone effectively, you've got to know what they're doing. You've got to be in touch with them. You got to have ongoing conversations with them and know about their work and their priorities so that you can. Otherwise, it's not legitimate. It doesn't feel like legitimate praise to them, and it just doesn't work. Yeah. So you can't replace being in touch with the people that you're managing.
I'll tell you can't. Very quickly, I know we got a couple of minutes here left, but what's one of the biggest takeaways you want managers to know in this book so when they do have it?
The easiest one is you've got to plan for in-person time. You can't just let it happen randomly. Hybrid work doesn't work randomly. It's got to be planned. and people, when they show up, need to see their colleagues. But the biggest one, even bigger than that, is each manager needs to have one meaningful conversation with each person once a week. And we give some tips in the book about how to do that most effectively based on what employees tell us. It turns out to be meaningful. You mentioned one of them earlier, recognition. Getting that right is really important. And it's one of the first things people mention when they say, I received meaningful feedback. It was recognition for good work they did. People want to do good work. We just need to notice it and tell them about it and do it in a way that's right for them.
Yeah, there it is. I like this. I know it's just a brief little information you gave us. So where can people find more information about the book and, of course, about your research on how to make a better workplace?
The best place to find the book and purchase it is on Amazon.com, and just look up Culture Shock.
Perfect. Doctor, thank you very much for joining us.